In today's video, I'm going to dive into the dark side of the Jehovah's Witnesses, the things that Jehovah's Witnesses would not want you to know. Jehovah's Witnesses are known around the world as people who are very friendly, who move door to door, distributing materials, and also sharing the message of the kingdom, particularly the impending catastrophe that is coming, and that is Armageddon. Behind that well-ordered and friendly facade of Jehovah's Witnesses lies something dark. And when you cross the Jehovah's Witnesses as a member, you pay a heavy price. I begin the series, The Dark Side of the Watchtower Society, and we are looking at the heavy price paid by members who cross the Watchtower Society, aka Jehovah's Witnesses. It is an organization that is known for secrecy and deals with matters that require legal action internally. Countless members of Jehovah's Witnesses have paid a heavy price for crossing the Watchtower Society. The first one we are looking at is restrictions on personal autonomy. One of the prices that you pay for belonging to Jehovah's Witnesses is that you have to prioritize religious matters over personal autonomy, including career advancement and higher education. Many Jehovah's Witnesses are steered away from pursuing university degrees or building careers, believing such ambitions distract from their religious duties. Jehovah's Witnesses are also taught to avoid certain friendships or relationships with non-members. In addition to that, you are restricted to entertainment that is only produced by the Watchtower Society. There is a control that is placed on members of the Jehovah's Witness. They also control in terms of how you talk, how you present yourself. They also deal with the issues of dressing. You cannot wear a beard. You have to dress in a particular manner. So they've actually created an image of who the Jehovah's Witnesses is supposed to be. I remember watching a video of a former Jehovah's Witness who was ostracized for actually wearing a beard. So there's a strict control over personal life and how you live your life as a witness. Extends to how you dress, how you talk to others, and how you celebrate holidays. So your life is totally controlled by the Watchtower Society. You cannot live however you want to live, even if it is within the biblical boundaries. Let's look at a short clip of a victim of the Watchtower Society.
The organization had so many strict rules, and you found them so difficult to follow. Just not being able to read other material or the way you dress, all that stuff. But there are 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses in the world, right? Supposedly. Mm-hmm. So most of them, I guess, are fine with those strict rules.
When you really understand to the level that Jehovah's Witnesses are micromanaged in every aspect of their life and how controlled they are, even though they'll say that they're not and they have all their personal freedoms, you don't. Like, you are so controlled and so micromanaged. It literally is like, they talk so much about, the new system coming in paradise. Like it's actually here, right? You're just trapped in purgatory right now. You're trapped in hell. Get out of there and you can actually have, some joy and happiness, right? And get that out of your life before it's too late. The saddest part is all these people are putting off having a happy life for some future paradise to come.
The other dark side of Jehovah's Witnesses that many people may not know of is apostasy and shunning. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses practice what is called disfellowshipping or excommunication. This is based on a wide range of offenses, including moral misconduct, and even as simple as questioning the beliefs or doctrines of the Watchtower Society. Once you are disfellowshipped, you are totally cut off from your friends, family members. Communication is restricted to such individuals. A child who is living with a parent in the same house, they will not talk to you over religious matters. You are excluded from communication. You are totally shunned by the Jehovah's Witnesses sect or community. Let's look at a short clip of a victim of the Watchtower Society.
Home can become difficult as the relationship between parent and child becomes strained. In many cases, the organization encourages parents to kick out their disfellowshipped children once they are 18 years old. I came to talk to Jody, who has a similar story. He was disfellowshipped the day he finished high school after the organization discovered he had got a young woman pregnant.
being in a small town, it doesn't take long for that to get around. And, I didn't tell my parents, we'll put it that way. Somebody else did. And things changed at home too, obviously. I mean, my parents, minimal communication. No more good morning, no more...
Because from what I can understand is that you got disfellowshipped in January, and then they said you had until you graduated
graduated school, yeah.
So
that conversation took place right away. So I was allowed to stay there until I finished high school. So, and literally the day I finished high school,
Can you talk about that?
That was it. Yeah, it was, I can remember my stuff being outside, and my mom, I still can see her standing in the front window and just pointing at the road. A couple bags sitting outside, and that was it. I had no money. I had nothing. I had my little Honda Civic car. I had maybe a quarter tank of gas in it, and that was it. I got into my car, and when we were kids, we used to hang out under a bridge. And I went there, and under the bridge we had like not a cabin, but a little setup there, right? So I spent the night there, actually. I had slept there for a couple days, and those couple days I was very close to ending it. It definitely crossed my mind on several occasions, and rather quickly. I didn't know what to do. I mean, you're just a young kid. You no longer have a support network of any kind. I didn't really know. I knew some kids from school. I was friends with some kids, but not very many, because nobody really wanted to associate with you. You were a Jehovah's Witness. You were not like the other kids, right? So yeah, it was I wouldn't say the lowest point of my life. That came later on, but I'd say it's pretty close, man. It's pretty close. It still burns me.
Now, shunning has led to deep psychological trauma for members that have gone into depression, with some committing suicide. I watched a video of somebody, an elderly person, who left the Watchtower Society and was totally shunned by friends and family members to the point that he ended up committing suicide. A woman was actually totally shunned, and the children, by her husband because they had celebrated Christmas. Another one indicated of how a child was totally shunned in a very, very hateful manner by the Jehovah's Witnesses when that person left the society. So this is a very, very serious punishment, and it's a discouragement for leaving the Watchtower Society. So when you leave the Watchtower Society, you actually leave it at your own peril, because you'll be totally cut off, you'll be isolated, you'll lose your social and familiar contacts. Here is another short clip of what I'm talking about.
Once they've gathered all that information, you're asked to leave the room, and then you'll be called back in with a decision. My decision took about 15 minutes or so, which felt like a long time, but when you think about it, isn't that long, considering that you're essentially handing out that person to be shunned from their friends and their family.
And your mother has stopped talking to you because you were disfellowshipped, right?
Yeah.
Is that tough?
It's very odd knowing that your mother supposedly cares for you. At least I'd like to think that she does, or that she did at one point. But she doesn't talk to you anymore, or come to visit you, or, even send you cards in the mail.
And you are their only child, right?
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom is also an only child. So my maternal grandmother, I'm her only grandkid.
So this is used as a form of control so that no one dares to leave the Watchtower Society. Here is another short clip of what I'm talking about.
The most painful thing I think you can do to another human being is to isolate them and cut them off. That's why solitary confinement, is such an issue in the prisons and stuff, and why it's such an effective tool also in those environments, because that people will do almost anything to just not be alone. And when you're raised as Jehovah's Witness your whole life, when all of your family around you, all your friends are in that environment, when they cut you off and disfellowship you, you are put into solitary confinement. And, you get in and you need to sign like a form, right? And you need to put an emergency contact, right? And it was at that point, I have nobody, right? There's nobody that I could put on that column to call, right? And so I think it's still the case. I should update it. My emergency contact was 911, right?
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that YouTube can make this message known to more people. The third dark side of Jehovah's Witnesses is on blood transfusion and medical controversies. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are strictly forbidden to receive blood transfusion because this is based on literal interpretation of Acts chapter 15, verse 29, which instructs Christians to abstain from blood. This belief has led to numerous legal and medical controversies, particularly when it involves minors. A situation where the minor needs blood transfusion to save his or her life, but parents or guardians totally refused to assent to blood transfusion. Just imagine, a child needs blood transfusion, and that's all the child needs to be saved. And the parent refuses to consent to that. And in some cases, hospitals have been forced to go to court to override parental consent in order to save a child's life. But in a worst-case scenario, this belief has actually led to preventable death. What kind of a parent would not allow a child to receive blood transfusion just because of a mere belief on a scripture that is wrongly interpreted? Because when the Bible is talking about avoiding blood, when you look at the context there, it is talking about eating meat that's strangled or directly drinking blood. Now, that is very, very different, totally different from blood transfusion, because that is a religious and a spiritual activity that was actually done in pagan rituals. Another dark side of the Watchtower Society is the handling of sexual abuse cases. And we are looking at the two-witness rule. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses have one weird rule. When it comes to sexual abuse cases, they would need two witnesses for the case to be handled by the elders. Now, that is based on a scripture in the Bible which says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established. So they've taken that as a basis for dealing or handling sexual abuse cases. Here is another short clip of what I'm talking about.
I came to sit and talk with Jan.
Hi, Jan. How's it going? Come on in.
She had been a Jehovah's Witness for 23 years. As a teenager, she experienced verbal abuse from an elder and his wife. Later in life, she was disfellowshipped because of the action she took in the hopes of divorcing her ex-husband.
There was a situation, an elder and his wife, both full-time pioneer ministers, were rather abusive to people in the congregation on an emotional, verbal spectrum.
Did you ever tell your parents about the verbal abuse from this elder?
They knew. They knew that it had been going on, as did other people in the congregation, from what I gathered of casual conversations with people.
So there was no disciplinary actions towards the elder or the wife?
No. Years after it had happened, when I finally was able to talk about it, more so in public, I did approach the elders in my new congregation regarding what had happened. And unfortunately, because there weren't two witnesses to any of this, it was just me, they weren't able to do anything. They essentially said, there's nothing we can do. The only thing that we can do is leave it in Jehovah's hands.
Now imagine, most of these cases are actually done in privacy, and they take place between two people. A person who is abusing another person will not definitely do it in public where other people may see. And there are many other cases that are used to be able to establish whether this person really was involved in abuse, particularly when you involve DNA testing. They can prove that actually this person was involved in sexual abuse. But Jehovah's Witnesses actually do not allow their members to go out to report, because that would affect the reputation of the organization. So the organization reputation is more important than individual rights of members. And that's why we are saying, cross the Watchtower Society at your own peril, or pay the price for crossing the Watchtower Society. A number of people have come out reporting child abuse cases which the Jehovah's Witnesses actually sweep under the carpet. The 2015 Royal Commission revealed that over 1,000 child abuse cases were actually mishandled and were not reported to authorities just because the Watchtower Society was protecting its image. And the Watchtower Society is first to condemn the sexual abuses of certain dioceses of the Roman Catholic all over the world, where they've paid millions of dollars reparations. They are the first one to condemn the Catholic Church. And yet, a lot of cases in the Watchtower Society are actually swept under the carpet and they are not reported. The rights of victims are totally abused in the name of protecting the image of the Watchtower Society. Let's look at another dark side of the Jehovah's Witness, and this is gender roles and sexual control. We are looking at the subordination of women. Jehovah's Witnesses have a total control over women. Women are totally subservient in the congregations. Women cannot lead in prayers in the presence of men. Women cannot hold any leadership position. They cannot be elders. The Watchtower Society is a tyranny of men. Despite women being, in most denominations, being the majority, they are the silent majority in the Watchtower Society. Let's look at another dark side of the Watchtower Society, the legal battles and secrecy. So we are looking at lawsuits and protection of assets. In recent years, the Watchtower Society has faced multiple lawsuits with victims of abuse accusing the organization of covering up crimes to protect its image and financial assets. Settlements have cost the organization millions, but many cases remain unresolved due to the secretive nature of the internal judicial process. Unfortunately, because of its secretive nature, a lot of cases go unresolved and justice fail to be served because of the internal judicial system that the Jehovah's Witnesses hold. If you're one of the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses watching this, you can relate to this, you've been abused, you need to take a stand. The Watchtower Society is not the only place where you can find family and community. There are other biblically based religious societies which you can join. Don't forget to receive counseling, and there are organizations online that help Jehovah's Witnesses who have been ostracized. It is very, very important to seek help so that your psychological and emotional trauma can be addressed. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And also, if you have any question, or if you don't agree with anything that I've presented, you can present it in the comment section below. If you believe that this video can be of help to another person, please don't forget to share it. Smash the notice bell so that every time I upload the video, you will be notified. Now, what I've shared here is just a glimpse of the workings of the Jehovah's Witnesses. For those of you interested to know more about the Watchtower Society and Jehovah's Witnesses, click on the playlist here.
My oldest boy, I don't know, he's a hard one to crack. He's 15 now, and I haven't really spent any real time with him in over a year. And while we still talk and everything seems fine, we just don't get to ever see each other. And I can tell that he has just a lot of pressure on him. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but he definitely has a lot of pressure on him just to not be around me.
Like, are your kids disappointed in you that you're not Jehovah's Witness? Like, have they said anything to you like that?
Yeah, Eden did, my oldest daughter. We were just at the pool getting ready to go in. And she said to me, "Dad, you made the worst decision of your life." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she says, "You left Jehovah." And I said, "Well, honey, I didn't leave Jehovah. I just said I'm not going to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore." She says, "I think you just made the worst decision of your life." And that was it. That's what she had to say.
How old is she?
She was 9 then.
It's just, it's interesting having his kids over and seeing already, like, so young, how dedicated they are to it.
The way they treat me, like the way that other people treat me, and my kids just feel like that's okay. I went, I think my kids played hockey at the rink with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I met them at Dairy Queen to take them for ice cream after. And I walked in and I had all 4 of my kids with me. And there were some of the witnesses from hockey sitting there. They just played with my boys. And We were behind them, so they were sitting down eating their food. I came in and ordered, and we were getting drinks behind them, and they all sat there, and these are, some of them are my oldest boy's friends, same age, and none of them talked to my kids. None of them said hello. None of them turned around from their seats, and we were this far away, and nobody did anything. And these are people like that I've known for years, and they're still friends with my kids, supposedly, and they just treated them like they weren't there, and my kids didn't think anything of it. You know, like, we just have to take it. Just be like, just take it. And people say that, why doesn't nation just go away quietly? Just go quietly. Like, why do you have to say anything? But the reality is, the only reason I speak out against it is because my kids are still stuck in it. And because they're taking my friends and family. And they took them.
I think that they feel like they have more entitlement to your kids than you do.
For sure they do.
Because they feel like that is for sure the sense that I get.
Well, because it's the reality.
They feel like they're gonna save his kids. So we're going to keep them and we're going to save them.
It's their eternal
Save you from your
future.
dad. Yeah.
Because I'm just going to live this life now.